Greetings and welcome to yet another Morrowind Mod of the Month video, celebrating the best mods released each month. This time around, we're taking a look at the best mods of July 2017, and July was a pretty active month for the community actually. About 51 new mods were released in total, including a few massive mods like Darknut world textures, and we're going to be taking a look at the top 3 mods of the month here today, as decided by you guys in an online poll. And of course, there's a new online poll where you can, go to vote for your favourite mods of August 2017. And you'll find a link to that, along with download links for all the mods shown here down in the video description below. And again, just real quick, I do kind of need to apologise for the audio quality in today's narration, because I do still have a slight sore throat. It's kind of died down to just a, tickle in the back of the throat, but, it still might affect my narration just slightly. And anyway, let's just go ahead and get started with our mod of the month for July 2017, which is, of course, Darknut World Textures by Darknut. And this won't come as a surprise to, well, anyone really. Darknut's massive world textures replacer is one of the biggest texture replacer packages to be released in recent years, and it covers nearly everything from city to town architecture, to landscapes, caverns, tombs, and even the city of Morrowind. And not only that, it also covers some furniture and, other various items. And the only thing it doesn't really cover at all yet is the landscapes of Solstein, and of course the Telvanni architecture set as well. But presumably, Darknut will try and cover these at some point, once he's recovered from his recent physical injuries anyway. It's probably kind of hard to make new textures with just one arm, I would imagine. And in any event, we're just going to be showing off a few snippets of this replacer here. A little bit of landscape architecture and interior tile set, nothing too major. After all, we did do a 3-hour-long showcase of this mod already, so if you want to see these replacers in, action in a bit more detail, please do check out our full showcase video on Darknut's world textures. And anyway, Darknut started working on this texture replacer package about way back in 2008, I believe. And after nearly a decade of work, he's finally released it in July, becoming perhaps one of the more modern, high-resolution, nearly complete texture replacer packages to be released since, well, possibly the Morrowind Visual Pack or Connery's combined texture package. No doubt we'll be seeing some more larger texture replacer packages from Flash 313, aka Remiros or Lysol, sometime in the future, but for now, these are some truly nice looking textures that really update the look of the game. And there's really, quite a strong emphasis on lore friendliness here. Most of the textures, keep with the same color scheme and feel of the original vanilla Morrowind textures. So if you just want to, play Morrowind without changing the feel of the game, this is definitely a great texture replacer package to check out. And an easy, one-stop shop to instantly update a large portion of the game with a single mod without worrying about potentially conflicting replacers that don't work well with one another. Of course, having said that, you can always install other, replacer packages on top of Darknut's world textures if you don't particularly like one of the textures in this package. That's the handy thing about replacers, they're incredibly easy to install and replace. And anyway, we're kinda, just zooming through a bunch of different locations here, because I do want to keep this portion of our video today to a nice and tidy 3 minutes or so. And as such, we're not really going to be doing a really detailed look at any particular set of textures or locations. We're just going to fly through Ebonheart, Vivek, a little bit of Cedar Neen, and, Mornhold, and a few other areas. And indeed, we'll be skipping a lot here, really. I mean, there's just so much in this package, it's impossible to do the entire replacer set in a convenient amount of time. And again, if you'd like to see a much more detailed breakdown of what this, massive package has to offer, check out our decidedly longer 3-hour showcase that shows off pretty much everything that you'll find in Darknut's world textures. And plus, you don't have to, deal with my annoying voice for the whole thing, since most of that video isn't narrated. But regardless, point is, this is just a really great looking graphical replacer that nearly covers everything. And quite obviously, it more than deserves the title of Mod of the Month for July 2017. And moving on, our second pick for the Mod of the Month is Detailed Dungeons by Eldermaster 28. And now, Detailed Dungeons is basically an immersive and atmospheric addition to the game world of Morrowind, adding lots more detail of plant life, mushrooms, moss, and other, odd bits and ends to the caverns, and even a few Duma ruins and Daedric shrines of Morrowind as well. And in a way, it's very similar to Logan's critically acclaimed Caverns Overhaul plugin. Though you might argue that plugin is a bit more detailed, but also I think, covers slightly fewer caverns overall. And of course, I don't know if it was ever, fully finished or not. I could have sworn Logan was, still working on more updates, that were planned for it, but, oh well. Anyway, since release, Detailed Dungeons has had several, regular updates, including one just last week, adding more detail to more dungeons, and it's now on version 5.5. And hopefully the author will, keep up with the updates here, because there's certainly, some really nice additions to the vanilla game caverns in this package. And we're starting out naturally in the cavern right outside Ascadian, which is a bit brighter now, with a lot more plant life, and some waterfalls and little streams here and there, not to mention hot springs and lots of kelp. And this is probably one of the more overly detailed dungeons included so far in this package. You'll notice a bit of a range in detail, with some dungeons getting pretty noticeable overhauls, with others just getting, lightly sprinkled with the occasional new addition like bits of ivy and grass to make the caverns feel just a little bit more dynamic. And as such, you shouldn't expect every dungeon to be, quite this dramatic in terms of detailing and scenery. Now, taking a look at a second dungeon here. This one is somewhere in the Ascadian Isles region, and you'll notice that the types of plant life you'll find in these dungeons depends on the region that they're found in. Dungeons in the Bitter Coast have more mushrooms and moss, while dungeons in the Ascadian Isles region have more ivy and flowers. But anyway, this is probably one of my favourite dungeon overhauls included in this package. There's a nice mixture of flowers, ivy, waterfalls, and of course, some sunbeams from the outside. You'll notice that the sunbeams in these dungeons use primarily vanilla Morrowind visual effects, as opposed to the sunbeams included in Cavern's Overhaul. Personally, I do think that Logan's sunbeams are a bit more, dramatic and epic looking. But both types of sunbeams work fine. And speaking of Cavern's Overhaul, I don't know if these two mods are actually compatible with one another. They do touch some of the same dungeons, so that might be an issue. That said, there is a compatibility patch for JSP's mods and dungeons, which expands many of the same caverns that detailed dungeons add new items to, so that's a rather nice combination right there. And taking a look at a few more dungeons here, as I mentioned before, this does cover a couple of Daedric shrines, including some Daedric ruins that are intermixed with caverns. And there's also a couple of Dual ruins that have been covered as well, namely the Dual ruin over left, the only one that can be found in the Bitter Coast region, as well as some of the caverns found in the massive Duma complex of Arkenthand. And in addition to all that, some of the caverns and barrows on Solstein also have some new and updated detailing, such as this cavern right outside of Fort Frostmoth, which has a lovely little stream going right through it. And once again, you'll notice the diversity of plant life in here, with the Solstein caverns having more pine trees, holly bushes, and other native flowers in them. And all in all, this is just a really, fairly large mod that covers quite a few dungeons with some additional detailing, and while it doesn't really change the gameplay or physical layout of these dungeons, it does make them feel a lot more, atmospheric and fun to play through. And certainly will be a boon to alchemists looking to collect a few more ingredients on their adventures. I mean, there's a ton of flowers in here after all. And all this makes Detailed Dungeons our second pick for the mod of the month of July 2017. And finally, our third pick for the mod of the month is Remiros' Ascadian Isles Trees by Remiros, aka Flash313. And now this came as a bit of a surprise, at least to me anyway, since it just barely edged out the other mod that Remiros released in July. I played the Monarch version 2. And indeed, this is a rather interesting departure from the typical mods that Remiros makes for Morrowind. Instead of the cutting-edge, physical-based rendering graphical replaces that we come to expect from Remiros, this is actually a rather lore-friendly and certainly performance-friendly replacer for the trees of the Ascadian Isles. Ideally meant to be used alongside the Ascadian Isles landscape replacer that Remiros released over a year ago, though obviously I'm not actually using it in this video footage here, just simply because I forgot to add it to this Morrowind install before we recorded the video, but they are recommended to be played together all the same. And one of the things you'll notice here is how Remiros has tried to stick to the original sort of style and size of the vanilla Morrowind trees, which for the most part, didn't have quite as many leaves as most of the popular replacers out there these days. So you'll notice a few more, bare almost twig-style trees, but there's also some more, bushy, green, and leafy trees scattered across the landscape as well. This provides a rather nice vanilla-style experience for those who prefer the original feel of the Ascadian Isles and just want a graphical replacer that stays true to the, the original game. And in addition to the trees of the Ascadian Isles, this replacer also covers those green little bushes that you occasionally see dotting the landscape around the Ascadian Isles. And overall, while this is by no means a high poly or, cutting-edge replacer, it is still a really nice-looking graphical update for the region, and well worth checking out, especially for those on lower-end computers who perhaps can't handle the more intensive and sometimes poorly optimized other replacers out there, or who, just prefer a more vanilla style in general. And in any event, all this makes Remiros' Ascadian Isles Trees our third pick for the mod of the month for July 2017. And that pretty much wraps up our episode today. Again, you can find download links and a link to our new online poll down in the video description below. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.